I used to do security work for a small office building downtown. It wasn't a bad job, mostly just walking the halls, checking doors, and making sure everything was locked up at night. It was quiet, sometimes even boring, but I preferred it that way. Then one night, something happened that I still can't explain. It was around 2 a.m., and I was doing my usual patrol. The building had 3 floors, and I was making my way down from the top level when I heard something unusual, a soft tapping sound. It was coming from the 2nd floor. At first, I thought maybe it was the pipes or the AC kicking in, but as I got closer, I realized it was rhythmic, almost like someone knocking gently against a window. I turned the corner into the main hallway, and that's when I saw it. At the far end of the corridor, a single office light was on. That was strange. I knew for a fact that all the offices had been empty for hours. The building was locked down, and no one should have been inside. I walked toward the office, my radio in one hand and my flashlight in the other. The closer I got, the clearer the tapping became. It wasn't random. It was a pattern. 3 slow taps, a pause, then 2 more. I reached the door and peered inside. The office was empty, just a desk, a chair, and a few filing cabinets. But my eyes were drawn to the large window that overlooked the parking lot. That's where the sound was coming from. Tap, tap, tap. The window was on the 2nd floor. There was no balcony, no ledge, nothing a person could stand on, but something was tapping on the glass. I shined my flashlight at the window, expecting to see a bird or maybe a tree branch moving in the wind, but there was nothing. Just as I was about to step inside, the tapping stopped. Then right in front of me, the office door slammed shut. I jumped back, my heart pounding. My radio crackled to life with static, followed by a faint whisper. I couldn't make out the words, but it sent a chill down my spine. I tried the door handle, locked. I pulled harder, but it wouldn't budge. That didn't make sense. None of the interior office doors locked from the inside. Then, from the other side of the door, I heard a sound that made my blood run cold. Breathing, slow, deep breaths. Just inches away from me. I took a step back, my mind racing. I was the only one in the building. The security system had been armed when I started my shift. There was no way anyone else could be inside. Suddenly, the light in the office flickered and went out. I grabbed my keys and unlocked the door as fast as I could, swinging it open. The room was empty. The only thing out of place was the window. It was now wide open. I rushed over and looked down into the parking lot below. No one was there. The lot was completely empty, and there was no possible way for someone to have climbed up or down without me hearing it. I shut the window and locked it, my hands shaking. I don't know why, but I felt like I wasn't supposed to have seen that. The rest of the night was eerily quiet. No more tapping, no more whispers, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something had been watching me. The next morning, I told my supervisor what happened. He gave me a strange look and said, "That office, no one's used it in years. Apparently, the last person who rented it left abruptly, breaking their lease after claiming they felt uneasy in the space." I asked if he knew anything about the tapping. He just shrugged and told me, "You're not the first guard to mention it." I never worked another shift in that building again, but sometimes, late at night, I still dream about that sound. It was late at night when I got the call from my friend Alex. His voice was shaking. He asked if I could come over because something strange was happening at his apartment. He wouldn't explain over the phone, just kept saying, "I don't feel safe here." I'd known Alex for years. He wasn't the type to get scared easily, so hearing him this rattled put me on edge. I grabbed my keys and headed over. He lived in a small apartment complex on the outskirts of town, a quiet place with only a few tenants. When I arrived, the hallway was dead silent, and his door was slightly open. Stepping inside, I found Alex sitting on the couch, staring at the floor. The only light in the room was coming from the TV, but the sound was off. He barely acknowledged me as I sat down. After a long pause, he finally spoke. "I don't think I'm alone in here." I asked him what he meant. He took a deep breath and told me that for the past few nights, he had been hearing things, footsteps in the kitchen, whispering in the hallway, and the feeling of someone standing behind him. But the worst part, he said, was the closet in his bedroom. "The door keeps opening by itself," he whispered. At first he thought maybe the latch was broken, so he wedged a chair against it. But every morning, the chair would be moved, and the door would be open again. I tried to be rational. "Maybe you're sleepwalking," I suggested. Alex shook his head. "I set up my phone to record last night. Look." He handed me his phone and played the video. It showed his bedroom, the closet door in view. Everything was still for the first few minutes, but then, without warning, the door creaked open. Not quickly, not violently, just slowly, as if someone on the other side was deliberately pushing it open. There was no one there. I felt a chill crawl up my spine. "Maybe it's the air pressure," I said, grasping for an explanation. "Watch," Alex said, fast-forwarding the video. At around 3 in the morning, the screen went completely black for a few seconds, then returned to normal. When the image came back, the closet door was fully open, and Alex was still asleep in bed. I didn't know what to say. "I feel like I'm being watched," he admitted. I offered to stay the night, just to make sure he wasn't imagining things. He agreed, and we both tried to get some sleep. At around 2 in the morning, I woke up to the sound of a door creaking. My heart pounded as I turned my head toward Alex's bedroom. The closet door was open again, but this time I swear I saw movement inside. A shadow, darker than the room itself, seemed to shift just beyond the doorway. I couldn't breathe. I wanted to tell myself it was a trick of the light, but deep down, I knew it wasn't. Then the whispering started. It was faint, almost like a breeze carrying voices, just beneath hearing. My blood ran cold. Alex stirred in his sleep, but didn't wake up. I reached for my phone, turned on the flashlight, and aimed it at the closet. Nothing. Just an empty open space. I got up, forcing my legs to move, and walked over. My hands were shaking as I grabbed the closet door and shut it as firmly as I could. Then I took the chair and wedged it under the handle. I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. In the morning, Alex looked exhausted. He told me he dreamt of someone standing over him, whispering in a language he couldn't understand. I didn't tell him what I saw. A few days later, Alex decided to break his lease and move out. He never felt safe there, and honestly, I don't blame him. The day he left, he texted me. It happened again. Closet door was open. When I woke up, that was the last time we talked about it. I used to work the night shift at a small gas station just off the highway. It wasn't a busy place. Mostly truckers stopping in for coffee, or the occasional late-night traveler needing gas. The nights were usually quiet, sometimes eerily so. But one night, something happened that I still can't explain. It was around 3 a.m., and the station was completely empty. No cars, no customers, just the hum of the coolers and the buzzing of the overhead lights. I was behind the counter, scrolling through my phone to pass the time, when I heard the door chime. I looked up, expecting to see a customer, but there was no one there. The door had opened slightly, just enough to trigger the bell, but there was no wind outside, and it had been locked in place, like always. I stepped around the counter, pulled it shut, and checked the latch. It was fine. I chalked it up to a fluke, and went back to my phone. A few minutes later, the chime went off again. This time, I looked up just in time to see the door closing, like someone had just walked inside. But again, no one was there. I felt a chill crawl up my spine. The security cameras were right above the counter, so I grabbed the remote and rewound the footage. My heart nearly stopped when I saw it. The door had opened on its own, but that wasn't what scared me. It was what happened next. As the door swung open, the motion sensor camera inside the store triggered, detecting movement. But there was nothing there, just an empty doorway. And then for a split second, the footage glitched. When it came back, the door was closed again. I didn't know what to make of it. Maybe the camera had glitched. Maybe there was a problem with the door. I tried to shake it off, but something about it felt wrong. And then I heard it, a whisper. It was so faint I almost thought I imagined it. It came from the back of the store, near the storage room. A single word, stretched out like a breath. Hello. I froze. The storage room was locked. The only way in or out was through the main store, and I had been alone all night. I grabbed the baseball bat we kept behind the counter and slowly made my way toward the back. The closer I got, the more the air felt heavy, like the atmosphere had changed. The door to the storage room was shut, just like it should have been. But as I reached for the handle, I noticed something that made my stomach drop. The lock was undone. I knew for a fact I had locked it earlier. It was policy. No one left it open, ever. I took a deep breath and pushed the door open. The room was dark, the only light coming from the small emergency exit sign above the back door. Boxes were stacked neatly on the shelves, nothing out of place, but the air inside was ice cold. I stepped inside, shining my flashlight around. Everything looked normal until I saw the footprints. They were faint, like smudges on the dusty floor. Bare footprints. They led from the back door straight to the spot where I was standing, and then they just stopped. There were no prints leading away, no signs of movement, just a single set of footprints appearing in the middle of the room. I didn't stick around to investigate. I slammed the door shut, locked it, and went back to the counter, my hands shaking. For the rest of the shift, I kept my eyes on the cameras, but nothing else happened. When the morning shift came in, I told my manager about it. He just gave me a tired look and said, "Yeah, you're not the first to see that." Apparently, every few months, someone working the night shift would report strange things. Doors opening on their own, whispers, footprints appearing where they shouldn't be. No one knew why. All I know is, after that night, I never worked a graveyard shift there again.